Welcome back to Matt Talks Wrestling. Let's jump right into the Stanford news. So yesterday, Stanford's athletic program released a statement, and it said that the 11 sports that were previously going to be cut, that included Stanford wrestling, are now reinstated. So the reason of the cut of these programs initially was because funding was going to be low because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Revenues were not going to be there because sports weren't going to be able to bring people into the stadiums. So these 11 programs at Stanford said needed to be cut. So as we saw throughout the wrestling season, we saw reports come out from Stanford that they were independently bringing in more money and that they raised enough money to keep the program sustainable. But that didn't look too promising. It looked like the program was going to be cut regardless, and a lot of the wrestlers entered the transfer portal immediately when the season ended. So Stanford president Mark Tessier-Levine released a statement yesterday, and it reads, "We have new optimism based on the new circumstances, including vigorous and broad-based philanthropic interest in Stanford athletics on the part of our alumni, which have convinced us that raising the increased funds necessary to support all 36 of our varsity teams is an approach that can succeed." So for Stanford wrestlers and Stanford wrestling fans and all wrestling fans throughout the nation, this is good news because we've seen a lot of programs be cut due to budgetary reasons. Look at Boise State, they get cut. So we haven't had a lot of good news come out of wrestling. We've seen a lot more programs cut than be added to Division I wrestling. So what does this mean for the wrestling program? Do the transfers come back? That's something that's going to have to be seen. There could be trust loss with Shane Griffith and some of the other guys that are in the transfer portal right now thinking that maybe the school doesn't have my back. On top of that, we've seen the Stanford wrestling coach leave. He is now with the job at American University as a head wrestling coach there. So we'll see if Stanford can get back on track and get those guys back and bring in a great coach that can coach these guys up and then recruit further to see, hopefully, that the wrestling program can continue and we could see Stanford wrestling be great. So a little transfer portal news. Gage Garcia, two-sport athlete from Michigan, decided to hop into the transfer portal on May 17th. Earlier in the night, news broke yesterday morning. He is a two-time PIAA state champion. The reason he left is very unknown. There's been speculation about maybe scholarship money played a role, but only he really knows at the moment and only his family knows at the moment. So he's going to go through another recruiting process to see where he could be going again. So the understanding is that he's in both transfer portals, both wrestling and football, and he still wants to do both. So I'm sure in the decision-making process for Gage Garcia, those two sports are going to be a big role in which school he chooses. So where could be possible landing spots for Gage Garcia going forward? He has strong PA roots. His dad went to Bucknell and wrestled for them, so maybe that's an opportunity. They're also an FCS school, Division I, so he could play both sports there. Also, he can go to Lehigh. Lehigh has had some success recruiting Southern Columbia guys. Jarrett Lane, who was a EIWA 125-pound champion this year, came from Southern Columbia. He was a PIAA state champion as well. They're also Division I FCS, and they have a great wrestling program. And it looks like they have a hole at 197 pounds, so maybe he can slide right in there, maybe compete for the spot. It'll be very interesting to see where Gage Garcia goes in the future. He has a lot of upside in wrestling, as it's very hard to be a two-time PIAA state champion. It's hard to win it once, hard to be a medalist at the PIAA state championship. So hopefully he'll find that right fit, and, sky's the limit for him. Let's jump to the U.S. Pan Am roster. The Pan American Games are going to be taking place for wrestling on May 27th through the 30th. So right here is the roster for the men's freestyle. You have Olympians. You have Kyle Dake, David Taylor, Kyle Snyder, and Gable Steveson on the roster. On top of that, you have guys that are competing for world championships at these weights. You're looking at Vito Rujal, Shelton Mack at 61 kg, Joey McKenna, who went to the finals of the Olympic trials, Alec Pantelio, Taylor Lujan, and Nate Jackson, who had a great senior nationals run. So here's the roster that the U.S. will be sending for the women's freestyle. At 50 kg, you have Sarah Hillebrandt. 53 kg, you have Ronna Heaton. 55 kg, you have Jakara Winchester. 57 kg, you have Cameron Guerin. 59 kg, Maya Nelson. 62 kg, Kayla Merkel. 65 kg, Jen Page. 68 kg, Tamara Mensah-Stock. 72 kg, Alexandra Glod. And 76 kg, you have Adeline Gray. So why is the Pan Am so important for the U.S. Olympic team and the U.S. team in general? well, this could be the last chance for decent exposure before the Olympics, and that's huge because the Olympics are going to be taking place in very early August, and that's at least for the wrestling side of the games. So we're talking at this point, some of these wrestlers like Tamyra Mensah-Stock, like Adeline Gray, like Kayla Merkel, they last competed at the Olympic trials, which was in very early April. So that adds up to a 4-month down period, which isn't too great. You want to get your men, you want to get your women wrestling at least 2-3 months before competition so that they can keep that muscle memory going. So this competition is taking place a little over 2 months ahead of the Olympics, so wrestling at Pan Am's for the US Olympic team is very important. Olympic seeding also has a play in this. High placement means high seeding, and that is going to be something that at least Kyle Dake and David Taylor are going to need to medal. Not saying that those guys won't medal, but it's very important to get a high seed so that you don't run into top tier competition early on in the tournament and make it a little bit easier on yourself to move on to the semis, move on to the finals without having to face that top tier competition early. So let's not get confused. This is the Pan Am Games. So USA Wrestling will not be facing guys from Russia that are competing for other European countries right now, or Iran. So it's not going to be that top tier competition, but still getting that exposure, getting that experience right now is going to be huge. Plus placement, seeding, that's going to be big for USA Wrestling going forward. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like this content, please like the video as well as subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next one. Thank you and have a great day.